Welcome to the Instagram stories for Saturday, November 4th. This is the weekend edition, and I'm your host, Daniel Hill. Let's talk about some news things and some new Instagram features, all of which I think are very important. Recently, I talked about how Meta was going to be offering an ad-free experience for purchase in the EU for both Facebook and Instagram. However, the news broke later in the week after I recorded that show that Meta was actually being forced to stop using targeted advertising in the EU entirely. I'm going to link in the show notes to an article from Bloomberg that explains this more, but essentially there was an approval on October 27th that was made by a panel of European regulators responsible for enforcing data privacy rules in the EU, and the reason that they're doing this is because Meta now has 2 weeks to impose a ban on the, quote, processing of personal data for behavioral advertising on the legal basis of contract and legitimate interest, end quote. And that's from a spokesperson for the European Data Protection Board. So what does this mean? This would essentially be a ban on Facebook and Instagram using all the personal data that they've collected about users in order to target them with ads. This judgment that was made by EU regulators essentially says that, quote, users must be free to refuse individually to consent to any unnecessary processing, but they also can't be barred from using the service. So that means that users are, quote, to be offered, if necessary for an appropriate fee, an equivalent alternative not accompanied by such data processing operations, end quote. Again, I will link to this article in the show notes. It is absolutely worth understanding, especially if you live in the EU, because data privacy protections are extremely important for keeping our data safe. We are going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Reels Insights. If you're someone who creates Reels, you're going to really want to know about this because there are new metrics, new definitions, all of these things when it comes to analytics you have to know. So stick around.
This episode is brought to you by Michigan Economic Development Corporation. In Michigan, you can have both a rewarding career and a quality lifestyle, with plentiful career opportunities in world-changing, innovating industries, from electric vehicles to clean energy to biotech, with room for advancement no matter where you are in your career. Plus, Michigan offers a welcoming, beautiful, affordable, and inclusive community for all. Live your best life. You can in Michigan. Visit themichiganlife.org.
Welcome back. Okay, let's get into an update all about Reels Insights from the Instagram @creators account. They explain that their goal is to give deeper insights into the performance of your content. So they're introducing a new Reels metric called replays. They're also updating the definition of Reels plays to include replays in addition to initial plays. You may notice an increase in your Reels plays as a result of this. Just a little bit of context for this whole thing. A couple of weeks ago, I had talked on the show about how Instagram was not counting replays. I played a clip from Adam Mosseri who said that replays were not included in view counts, but they were changing that right at that time. So it was kind of strange to me that TikTok counts replays, but Instagram doesn't. That brings you up to speed on this whole issue. The Instagram @creators account goes deeper into explaining what these insights mean. So plays is the number of times your reel starts to play or replayed after an impression is already accounted. Plays are defined as watching for 1 millisecond or more. Replays are counted after the initial play in the same reel session. What is an initial play? That's the number of times your reel starts to play for the first time in a reel session. Again, defined as 1 millisecond or more. Replays is the number of times your reel starts to play again after an initial play, defined as a replay of 1 millisecond or more. The @creators account also explains that there are some new insights available as well that you need to know about. First, watch time. That's the total amount of time your reel was played, including any time spent replaying. Average watch time. I really think this is the most important statistic. The average amount of time spent playing your reel. This is calculated by the watch time divided by the number of initial plays. And the last metric, which is also very important, follows. This is how many accounts started following you as a result of viewing your reel. I will link in the show notes to where you can see this post. There's even a video demonstrating what this all looks like and highlighting these specific areas. That is going to do it for today's episode. Be sure to come back on Monday, where we dive into what the head of Instagram shared on his Ask Me Anything, and go create some content this weekend. Do something fun, live your life. Don't spend it all staring at a screen, but create something.
Instagram news got you covered, sometimes even TikTok. Relevant platforms in the metaverse ahead of the wave. Without a break or a pit stop, still waiting for Zuckerberg to give me the big job. Pause. Use trademarks and logos with Insta's permission, of course. If you like the show and you gain some good info, maybe leave a review. It's a type of applause. Just drop me a message if you want to collab. If you got some good content or you want to run ads, at Daniel Hill Media is where I am. TikTok, Facebook and Instagram.